Now, if you love listening to the Financially Free Journey podcast, then you will love our premium subscription edition of the show. You will get early access, ad-free listening, and bonus content that you will not hear on the regular show. So make sure that you hit the subscription button and join the premium fun. Today's episode is sponsored by Relief Factor. Now, pain from everyday living, exercise, or just getting older is one of the leading causes of trips to the doctor and sleepless nights. It interferes with those daily activities, and it can really keep us from spending time with the people that we love. Now, if you have everyday pain, it stands to reason that you need something that you can feel comfortable taking every day, and that's why doctors invented 100% drug-free Relief Factor. So tens of thousands of customers are using Relief Factor every day to become mostly or completely pain-free. 100% drug-free Relief Factor features 4 key ingredients that keep working, and it works on the metabolic pathway to support your body's natural healing process to really respond to pain and inflammation. So you can try Relief Factor too. The 3-week quick start retail price is almost $70, but it's now available to our listeners for just $19.95. So that's a huge discount for you guys. Head over to the link in the show notes to find out more and start your journey to better health and less pain today with Relief Factor. If you have ever thought about starting a podcast, using the Podcorn platform is a must. Podcorn is a marketplace that connects podcasters to amazing sponsorship opportunities and really allows you as the host to maintain creative freedom and full control of your show. Now, I personally use the platform, and I know that Podcorn helps keep you protected and compensated for all of the work that you do. Make sure to click the link in my show notes to get started with Podcorn today. Welcome back to another episode of the Financially Free Journey podcast, and I'm your host, Courtney Dyer. And if you're new here, well, this podcast aims to dispel the seemingly complex topic of personal finances, money management, debt, savings, investing, retirement, and we've even started venturing into business, what it means to be a business owner, how to start your business, how to grow your business. So really, we're running the full gamut here, guys. We're covering the essentials to really help you achieve financial independence. That's the whole purpose. So you can spend your time how you want, when you want, and with who you want. So we are just coming into the second half of 2021. Can you believe it? We already are 6 months in. Time flies when you're in a pandemic. And for me, having a newborn, wow, it's been a fun time. I was just thinking this morning, right before recording, because I'm actually recording this on July 1st, so just the day before releasing this full episode, but I was thinking about this is a really good time. You know, we all set those financial goals at the beginning of the year. We're all hyped when it comes to a New Year's resolution and just setting those goals. And then just like with, any other New Year's resolution goal, sometimes it starts to tend to dwindle off, right? Usually for a lot of people by February, but we're 6 months into the year. So it's a great time to take a look back and say, okay, what kind of financial goals or money goals did I set for myself? And how have I progressed on those goals? Because we set these big year-long goals, like I want to save X amount of dollars, I want to pay off all my debt, but it's really important to take a look at the small achievements you're making along the way. And also, if you need to course correct, to not let things go on too long before it's too late, and then you've run the whole year and you're upset because you didn't really meet the goals that you set out to meet for yourself. So what I would say is pull out your financial statement, your net worth statement. And if you don't have one, send me an email, financiallyfreejourneypodcast@gmail.com, and I'll send you the one that I use personally. And what I want you to do is I want you to go in and I want you to list out all of your assets and your liabilities. And I want you to compare it to, the year end of 2020 and how have you progressed in increasing your overall net worth. And it's really going to give you a great idea on how to, readjust your goals, readjust your course for the next 6 months because you can make some serious action. It's not over yet, right? So you have 6 more months to make the magic happen. So that was the first thing I really wanted to touch on today because I was thinking for myself, I gotta make sure that I do just a 6 month review. How have I come along? And if I'm doing it, I know definitely a lot of people would benefit from doing that as well. So that was the first thing I really wanted to talk about with you guys. Another thing that I really wanted to touch on was just a little market update because there's been a lot of buzzwords going around as far as money or monetary policy, debt, inflation, all that stuff, right? And it's like, what does that even mean? What should I really be paying attention to? And so I wanted to touch on a couple things with you guys. First of all, the stock market has been running what investors like to call bull, right? Or hot. And that just means that it's been on an upward trend for a long time. And so, what people start thinking is, okay, we've been on a bull run or it's been going really good, right? We've been getting positive returns for a long time. It's gonna have to correct, which means it's gonna go into a bear market or like a recession. And you probably hear that word, that buzzword thrown around a lot. And really, is it something that you need to be worried about? Well, one thing I want to remind you guys of is that the stock market is cyclical. And what that means is that it's like a cycle, a pattern. It does the same thing over time. And we can look at the historical patterns of the last 100+ years, and we can see that it is cyclical and these things happen and we can expect it to happen. And the second year of a bull run, which is what we're in, when you look at 2020, it was a hot year for the stock market, right? People made a lot of money last year. And now that we're in the second year of that bull run, the second half, so the last 6 months of the second year, so right now from July to December, historically speaking, tends to be a little choppy. So let me just explain that a little bit. The good news is that the second year of every single bull market since World War II has seen the S&P 500 climb higher. So that means that it's going to continue to go up and increase. That is 12 for 12 for year two gains, meaning that since World War II, the second year gain has been 12 for 12 positive. So even though the market may be volatile, the overall progression and the overall returns 12 for 12 have been positive. And so if you've been sitting on the sidelines and you're wondering, is it still a good time to hop in and invest? There's still absolutely great opportunities to be able to invest in. So definitely identifying the right opportunities is critical, but just know that historically speaking, there has been still, great historical gains that you can still be a part of. So that was number one. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is really just that there are fewer stocks that are making new highs. So when we look at 2020, the S&P 500 index, so all 500 companies that are a part of the S&P 500, the S&P 500 hit a new record high, right? And under the surface, though, fewer stocks are actually participating and driving that high. So just last week alone, we saw this new record high be hit. But when you look under the surface, it's actually fewer stocks that are really driving that up. And there's a lot of stocks that are not increasing. So it's really important for you to take a look at what you're investing in. And are you participating in investing in the stocks that are actually driving that overall increase? Or, are you participating in an index? It's just really important to look at the underlying stocks that are driving that increase so you feel confident in the decisions that you're making. So the next thing I really wanted to touch on that has been talked about a lot, like a buzzword that you see online, is stocks being overvalued. And this has been something that has become kind of like a widespread concern because in a bull market, you can see this happen where stocks become overvalued. And what that means is, for example, AMC or GameStop, that is a perfect example of a company whose actual fiscal returns and the revenue that the company brings in does not match or correlate to the trading price of that stock. what happened was optimism got priced into the stock itself. And that means, everybody's sitting around at the dinner table and talking with their friends, and they're, posting it on social media. And what happens is, because the trading volume goes up, then the price goes up, right? And optimism gets priced into the stock. So we see these overpriced stocks, and the valuations are really elevated based off of what it's truly worth. And so, again, this is a really great time for you to review. And if you are invested in some stocks that maybe there was some hype around, it's a great time to look at the individual holdings that you have and see, are these stocks that are overvalued, or is the company truly worth what you paid for that stock? So a great time just to look at your portfolio and understand if you're holding anything like that, and if you need to maybe, sell off some holdings that you have, or rebalance your portfolio just to mitigate some risk exposure. Whatever the case may be, it's definitely time to look at that. So those are just a couple of items as far as like a market update that I wanted to touch on, because I want to, going forward, try to make sure that I'm giving you guys some real-time updates on things that you're probably hearing on the news or through online or any media outlet when it comes to the stock market, because I want you to feel confident and knowledgeable when it comes to making really good investment decisions. Okay, so today we are definitely going to feature a guest, and I've had a lot of guests come on recently, and been getting great feedback about having the guests on, and I would love to have you guys give me more feedback around the guests and the format of the guests, because again, I started taking guests because it was a request that I had from several people saying, hey, I would love to hear from an expert in e-commerce, or an expert that started a successful FBA business, or authors, or real estate, whatever the case may be. So I went out and I found guests that really met the criteria of what had been requested. And so I want to make sure that you guys are enjoying the guest format, because again, I'm creating these episodes for you, and I want to create the episodes to really what you guys are looking for and what you are wanting to get out of this. So send me an email, financiallyfreejourneypodcast@gmail.com, or you can even DM me on Instagram, and it's at financiallyfreejourney, and let me know what you think, because I want to definitely take more requests and make adjustments as you guys, see fit, because you're the boss here, not me. I'm just helping you get the information you need. So today I have a guest that is, I actually already recorded with her a while ago, but I'm going to be releasing it today, and her name is Vanessa Shaw. And I had such a great time interviewing her and having a great discussion with her, because she is an internationally known business success coach. So she's a CEO of the Business Growth Academy, and she actually hosts her own podcast as well. It's called Get Rich Without Being a B, right? You know what I'm saying. And she all around helps people, really turn their dream and their passion into a successful business. And she started several successful businesses herself. And we talk about things like, the money stories that we tell ourselves, maybe our own, information that we feed ourselves, and our beliefs around money. How can you get rich without feeling like you are being, like a Scrooge, right? So like being a bad business person. The magic of really owning who you are and being able to take that and turn it into a successful business model. And then also we go over some of the single most important questions that business owners need to ask themselves each and every day in order to get their business from, where it's at currently to that next level. And we talk a lot about getting your business into that positive. And there's so many people that are entrepreneurial minded, yet we don't see the same statistic with these businesses getting off the ground and becoming successful, and what's the reason behind that. And so we really talk about that and deep dive from her experience, from taking her businesses from nothing, right? She started it from ground zero and taking them to multi-million-dollar businesses that have been highly successful. And so really, really good insights, very exciting interview. I really enjoyed it. I'm actually going to be a guest on her show. I think we're recording tomorrow, actually. I need to double check that, but I'll be coming out as a guest on her show as well. And so excited to collaborate with other people that are like-minded, that really do have a passion around bringing good financial advice to you guys and helping you be able to really meet your money goals and take and elevate yourself to that next level, because that's what this is all about. So without further ado, take a listen, and I hope you enjoy my interview with Vanessa Shaw. Let's talk really quick about Fiverr. Now, I love the platform Fiverr, and if you haven't heard of it, you are totally missing out. There's two different aspects to it that I want to talk to you guys about really quick. Number one is you can go on there and you can make money as an expert or a content creator. You can do things like graphic design, building logos, websites, the list goes on and on. It's a fantastic way to have an additional stream of income. Okay, that's number one. If you're not doing that already, you have to go check it out. Number two, I can't tell you how many gigs I have personally booked on Fiverr, literally over 100, and I have loved every single one of them. The creators and the experts that list their expertise and skills on the website are phenomenal. And so because of that, I have a fantastic deal for you guys. I've partnered with Fiverr to get you a discount. If you use the link in the show notes, you will get 20% off your first order. And I want you guys to just go check it out, go browse it. You can do logo design, influencer marketing, social media presence, building websites. I mean, the list goes on and on. So if you're wanting to up your game, Fiverr is absolutely the platform for you. Here's something that I think is really important for anybody that's listening to this show. You obviously want to take charge of your finances, but one thing that's hard sometimes is to see your total net worth, all of your assets and your liabilities all on one page, right? So I want to talk to you about an amazing partner with the show, and they're called Personal Capital, and they are a digital wealth management company, and they believe that everyone deserves to feel confident about their money. And they really focus on transparency to people's financial lives with their state-of-the-art digital planning tools. Guys, I love this platform because it makes it so simple to look at your assets, your liabilities. You can, connect your bank accounts, your investment accounts, any loan that you have outstanding. And they also have really great cash management and investment solutions that really combine the logic of sophisticated technology with the expertise of advisors who really have people's best interest at heart. So, of course, as always, guys, I've got a great opportunity for you. I'm going to link it in the show notes in the description of this episode. So make sure that you go check out Personal Capital. Click on the link in the show notes. You're going to get a great offer there, and you're going to be able to really propel yourself in your journey to financial freedom. Well, thank you so much for joining the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, well, you know what? When I started reading about Vanessa, guys, her background is so incredible and inspiring, as I just shared with all of you prior to bringing Vanessa on. But I just have to say that what you're doing is such high impact, and the way that you're helping women change their mindset and their ability to be confident in themselves is truly inspiring. So I just wanted to say thank you, first of all, for what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful when we really stumble across, meaningful work in the world. And
yes.
We're living our purpose and making a difference.
It's true. It's like being, in this world where everybody's trying to live fast paced and make as much money as possible, and kind of a toxic wealth culture that we live in. It's really nice to be able to take a step back and align with people that really do want to have more of a meaningful purpose. And so I appreciate that. I wanted you to share with the listeners, you have had quite the journey and, really a lot of personal development and growth along the way. So maybe if you could just share with the listeners a little bit about, what brought you to this point in your career and the passion that you have.
Yeah, and I'm going to go really quick bullet points because obviously
yes.
Now, we're coming close to 2 decades. So there's been, for anybody listening, I was a stay-at-home mom, stayed at home bringing up my kids for nearly 10 years, supported my husband in his career. I was never the career girl. I don't have a MBA or a background in business, but I had a passion for wanting to make a difference in the world. And I did have a passion for wanting to start up my own business. So back then, trained as a life coach, very rapidly, landed myself a big corporate deal, a kind of 6-figure deal out of the gate, which gave me a lot of business experience. And I was working with, a lot of top corporate attorneys back then, big name brands. And then honestly, I turned it all upside down 9 years ago when I said, I'm not finished yet. My next big move is to sell up everything in Europe and move my family across to the States, where I had this just calling to come to the States, to specifically Arizona from Switzerland. And
wow.
Yes.
Quite a difference in weather, I'm assuming, as well, right?
A difference in weather, a difference in scenery, 4 seasons, mountains and lakes, moved to the desert and cacti and all year round sunshine. And I did that 9 years ago. So I actually had to start from scratch. But that was my time of really digging in and asking myself the question of, right, I've done this, made this big move, put everything on the line. And who do I really want to serve? Like, who do I want to be a hero or a heroine to?
Right.
That's when I started building this new brand and the Business Growth Academy, which is, primarily we help female service-based entrepreneurs who are already over 6 figures grow and scale to that, multi 6 figures and across the 7-figure mark.
So in your business, I mean, that is, again, like you said, here's a synopsis, because I've done a lot. In your business of helping women specifically, and a lot of my listeners are women, a majority of them as well. What are some of the biggest obstacles that you see women face when they're really trying to scale and grow a business and make it successful?
Yeah, so many, but and there are a lot, right? Because it's a lot to grow and scale a business. But for me, the biggest ones always start with mindset, how we are thinking, right?
Yeah.
About the problems that we're looking to solve. And not only for me, when I talk about mindset, it's not only how we're thinking, it's who we are being. And oftentimes we want to grow the business. Let's say we're at the 6-figure mark, right? And we've hustled and we've done all of these things to get there. And it's an amazing milestone. And then we say, well, the next, we want to get to $250,000 might be the next milestone. Well, we need to show up as the $250,000 businesswoman.
Absolutely.
We have to shift ourselves. And I think that's where, all of a sudden we can find ourselves banging up against our own limitations. Some classics become, I need to work harder than I'm currently working in order to get ahead, in order to make more money. I see a lot of challenges around boundaries. Women that, want to serve everybody. They're not clear on boundaries. They're saying yes to too many things. They're not
yes.
no to enough things. And again, when it comes to growing and scaling that business, it's, really going to get in their way. And then the big piece, which was a big part of my own story in terms of getting ahead, I mean, I'd peeled back so many layers of the onion for myself and am I smart enough? Am I really cut out for this? Oh my gosh, I was just a stay-at-home mom, for heaven's sake. Here I am, wanting to grow this, amazing brand. And I dug really deep with a mentor and discovered that I had this massive limiting belief that was kind of a core to everything that I was doing. That was, in order to get ahead, I really need to show up as a cold-hearted bitch. That was really
right.
Like the core, like, oh my gosh, I have to become the type of woman I don't want to be in order to get ahead. And I was just sharing before we started, I've actually recently launched my own podcast, which is all
yes.
It's, get rich without being a bitch.
I'm going to link it in the show notes, guys, so you can go listen. But I love the title too.
Thank you. But that was my story. And when I come back to that mindset, why on earth would I want to go and grow this business, right? And do all these things that I'm dreaming and desiring to do if deep down inside, my biggest fear is becoming the type of person that I'm not proud of.
Right.
So for me, it was once I could unpack that. And again, this is some of the work that we do with leaders around you consciously can design who you want to be as a leader in your own business. And by the way, there's lots and lots of flavors, particularly in entrepreneurship. I am the leader in my life, in my own business. I get to decide who I want to show up as.
Absolutely.
Consciously create that. And I can be fun. I can be playful. I can be, whatever I want to be. I happen to be right now sitting in my office, wearing a pair of denim shorts and flip-flops on the bottom of
and still be successful, mind you.
You'll be successful, right? It's like I don't have to show up in the high heels and the, the shoulder pads and the perfectly groomed every single day of the week in order to get ahead.
Yeah. You mentioned the self-limiting beliefs, and I think that is personally, I've experienced it, and I know a lot of people that I'm very close to in my life. Self-limiting beliefs can really make or break your ability to chase your dreams and your passions and live a life that is meaningful to you. And it's just, how have you helped women overcome that? I mean, that's it's like in our DNA a lot of times. So how do you get over such a large obstacle?
It is. So it is in our DNA. And for me, I mean, it's not always that we get rid of them. For me, it's about acknowledging the fear. And honestly, integration is a big part of it. So big part of that process, because if we keep denying it, right, and we keep going, that's not who I want to be. Oh, I'm not going to show up like that. Actually, that's not the truth. Because there are times when I really can show up, bitchier. And it's a good thing. By the way, it's not a negative thing. It's like I might be getting very clear, in my mind, bitchier, but it's like, no, I'm being clear on my boundaries right now.
Absolutely. Yep. Right? Yep.
And so perhaps that was a place before that I was fearful of establishing those boundaries because I was too concerned about what other people would think about me and the labels that they might give to to me, or frankly, I'd give to myself. So for me, a lot of it's integration, and it's about looking at, well, hang on a minute, what part of that is even good? Which by the way, is very challenging for me to look at. Oh, there are good things around this. So there's some clarity and kindness and boundaries, and there's that fighting, taking a stand, being a mama bear, and protecting those things that are really important. And then it was also looking at what are those places where I could get triggered into being a version of myself through stress that I don't like, and how do I actually minimize those or have
I love that.
strategies in place, because we all have aspects of ourselves that we don't like, and there's often triggers that can come into play. So for me it was about well, I can minimize stress, I can do other things, I can sort of see those red flags, and honestly it's about that integration of acknowledging I'm all of it, right? It's not,
and that's not bad.
And I'm human, by the way. It's like, welcome to the human race. And so that really enabled me to kind of get to a level of peace with it, no longer be fearing it, but to also, in a way, have my own mind maps around, oh, hang on a minute, I'm in a place right now that perhaps I'm not showing up in the way that I'm really going to be proud and satisfied with myself. So now I need to think about a different way to show up.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, that mindset, the limiting beliefs, being able to acknowledge and then integrate those different parts of yourselves and identifying your triggers. And like for you in particular, it was stress. So, okay, I know that A, B, and C stresses me out. When that happens, what will I do to face this so I don't become this bitchier version of myself that I don't want to be, or I don't want to be perceived as, even by myself? So again, it seems like there's a real process around creating and redesigning your mindset as an entrepreneur. It's not just one day you wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to have a different mindset. And I think we've all maybe tried to do that, and it has not been successful. And so it's having a really clear, defined process on how you can rewire that mindset is really a game changer, it sounds like.
It totally is, and as I say, it's too easy to say we can have affirmations and say this and do that and repeat mantras and all the rest of it. And it's not that those things don't work, but they're not the whole story. So for me, when we're looking at mindset, we're looking at our being, right? And it's mindset. It's also our emotional state. And again, it's that personal leadership, who do we really want to be in the world in a way that we feel, proud of ourselves?
Yeah.
And, we're enjoying our own company as well. And so for me, that's also then about taking different actions. We only transform ourselves when we actually start to take different actions and get different results. And I know for you, you have this amazing podcast where, you're helping people think about financial freedom and that journey. And I'm sure you've come across them as well. But a lot of people will say, I've worked on my mindset. I've done the work around money.
Right.
And I'm like, so how's your bank account looking right now?
how is it translated over,
How's
right?
it translated? Because if you're generating the type of money that you want and you've got those savings account and your bank balance is great and all the rest of it, and you're making different choices, fantastic, you've done the work. But for me, mindset is just the beginning of awareness. And now, as a result of that, we must be taking different actions in the world that generate different results. And
I love that.
Practical girl. It's like, I want to see the real results, right? And the evidence, because the evidence is then that self-fulfilling loop that feeds back into the mindset that says, oh, wow, this change truly is possible. I'm now expanding, really expanding my thought process, who I'm being in the world. And now I am more capable of generating bigger and bigger results, and hopefully with a sense of ease to it as well.
Oh yeah. Again, the visual of changing your mindset is absolutely important. And it is the first step to be able to then make real change in your life. But you can't stop at mindset or when you acquire a bunch of knowledge, that's fantastic. But now, what do you do with the knowledge? If you're just in this acquiring phase of learning and trying to work on your mindset, you're not truly making change in your life that's going to be meaningful. So there's that acquiring stage, but then there's also the stage of taking action. And you know that you've been successful if you can quantify the results in whatever goal it is that you're trying to achieve, right? And particularly for a lot of entrepreneurs or people listening to the show, it's going to be getting one step closer to financial freedom and being able to grow their bank accounts, as you mentioned. And so that's a clear, definitive path that you can take to see, am I actually making real change here? And so I love how you created that visual with words. That was really impactful.
Yeah, and I think we can all get, as you say, fall into that trap of like information, right? As you said, like, I'm learning, I'm reading books, I'm listening to podcasts. But, that's just cognitive knowledge at the end of the day, And for me, it's about how do we translate that take that information and translate it in a pragmatic way to generate new results, right? And implementation is the name of the game, and where most people fall down.
Yes, that application part of the process is because you have to get out of your comfort zone. And that's where there's a lot of people experience imposter syndrome, where it's like when they try to take action on the information they've learned, they are paralyzed by, people are going to know that I'm not really this person I'm trying to be, right? And so that's something that's really, awareness has really been brought around in the last few years. But before that, there wasn't really even a term just in the, everyday, world that people were talking about. And so I love that we're more aware of that so we can overcome it.
I think one of the things there as well, we have to give ourselves, I love that you said that, because we have to give ourselves permission for active experimentation.
Yes.
And when we're bringing about those changes, for sure, right? Other people could be taken aback. Oh my gosh, like you're doing something differently. And yes, right, we are going to get that feedback from the people around us, right? The universe is going to feed things back. I have a different way of looking at that I, often say we will get challenges, and typically directly within our environment. But for me, the challenges are not about stepping back. It's about really saying, okay, you said you wanted to bring about some change. You said you wanted to build a business. You said you wanted to take it to the next level. How serious are you? Because if you use the challenge as a setback and, oh, that's a sign not to move ahead, or do you say, okay, bring it? That's a test, and I'm rising up.
Yes. And if you've done the work beforehand to be able to identify what could potentially come up or how will I react in those situations, again, it's understanding yourself deeply enough to know and have some forward thinking, because there will be obstacles. It will not be easy. And that's why most people cannot overcome those obstacles when they first arise. And so that really is going to be that difference maker, is forward thinking on how am I going to come play ball when things get hard. So I just love your advice. One thing for the listeners before we leave, if they could only remember one thing from this episode and from you, what is that one piece of advice that you want them to take away?
It's always such a good question, isn't it? There's so many. whatever results, right? Again, my world, it's business owners. So we have a core philosophy that says, your business will only grow by the amount you're willing to grow yourself.
Oh, love that. You have to be willing to grow.
You have to be willing to grow. And that's for any change. I mean, it translates into anything. If you want to improve health, if you want to improve relationships, finances, your business, your career, you will only achieve those results to the extent that you are willing to grow yourself. And many people get that backwards. They want the results first, right?
And then they'll grow later.
but then I can make the changes. No.
Yeah.
Back to front. So yes, that's the last piece I would say is, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, and if you're looking here to achieve financial freedom through your business will only grow by the amount you are willing to grow yourself.
That is so impactful and deep, right? I mean, guys, think about that. The amount that you're willing to grow is how much your business will grow, or your ability to achieve financial freedom, right? It's your aptitude to change, be coachable, be moldable, and to get out of that comfort zone, because change doesn't happen inside our comfort zone. And we know that. So I really appreciate that advice. And I know the listeners are going to say, okay, am I willing to grow? Let me do some self-reflection. Where can they find you if they want to learn more about you and what you're doing? Do you have a website and also social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So all over, social media, Vanessa Shaw. You can find me, Vanessa Shaw Coach on Instagram. Vanessa Shaw, just look me up on Facebook. You'll find me there, Business Growth Mentor. And then my home website is businessgrowthacademy.com.
Oh, love it. Businessgrowthacademy.com.
Academy.com. And there's actually a free book there that they can download as well. And actually goes into some great mindset pieces as well.
So that's amazing. Guys, a free resource. Again, we're not downplaying the acquiring of knowledge phase. That's extremely important. So I want you to go to her website. I will link it in the show notes and on my website as well. But I want you to go download the free book and really then think about how you can take action, right? How can you apply it into your life and make those meaningful changes around really the architecture of your mindset, because it's going to be all the difference. So Vanessa, I appreciate you coming on today, taking the time, getting to know you. You have such an amazing story, and I know the listeners will take away a lot from this.
No, thank you. This was a really great conversation.
Yes, thank you. Maybe we'll do a part 2, guys. This is great stuff. So thank you. And guys, thanks for tuning in today. If you're not already, make sure that you are following us on Instagram, TikTok, all the socials. It's at Financially Free Journey. And I post daily tips and motivation to help you on your journey with your money. Talk to you soon.